Alright, are we good? Are we live? I think we are. Hello all and welcome back to the Women's Football Chat Live. We are back with the Asian Cup knockout stages as it is Australia taking on North Korea in this first quarter-final. I think it's going to be a really close match-up today. There's been a lot of conversation in this tournament about some of those bigger teams, about Australia, about Japan. I feel like we're all underestimating North Korea a bit, and we saw that in the group stage. Ultimately, it didn't quite come together for them in that final game against China, so perhaps they've still got a little way to go to bridge that gap. But they are a very strong team, and we would expect this to be a very close game. I think, again, a lot of the discussion around Australia and the fact they didn't qualify as top of the group was that that could be beneficial because they're going to be on this other side of the draw. But actually, they've got a much tougher quarter-final matchup against this North Korea side because they didn't top their group. So that's going to be interesting. I mean, I think if they get through today, it does put them on the easier side of the draw. Again, I don't think there's an easy side. I think it is an incredibly difficult competition. I think I've said this from the start, there's 5 teams there that could win this tournament, really. And so I don't think it's easy. And I think having to play one of those in North Korea in this quarter-final is going to be difficult for Australia today. But they are on home turf. As a result, as a consequence, there will be that belief that they can get the job done. There will be that faith that they can get one over North Korea. Again, we don't really have too much recent history on North Korea because they're a side who haven't been in the competition for a good few years. But they're back now on the international stage. They're ready to compete. And it's going to be interesting to see how close they are to that level. Right, a few people in the live chat, so let's dive into those thoughts. Then we're going to get into the lineups for today. Lloyd, welcome to the stream. Jeremy, welcome as well. Jack Rich says North Korea is very strong. This could be a hell of a match coming up. Yeah, I think it's going to, as I say, I think it's going to be an incredibly close matchup. I think it's going to be a very even game. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we did see North Korea get the better of Australia in this one. I think it's going to be a very competitive fixture. So yeah, looking forward to seeing how it goes. Let's take a look then at the lineups for this game. We'll begin with the Matildas side, the Australia 11. It is a 4-3-3 for Australia today. In goal, Mackenzie Arnold keeps her place as she rejoined the side in that last group game against South Korea. In the back four, it's Carpenter, Hunt, Heatley and Torpy. Couple players missing in there, namely Steph Catley. Catley out with a concussion she suffered in that game against South Korea. Looking into the midfield three, then Alana Kennedy, who is currently one of the top scorers in this competition, keeps her spot at the base of midfield, alongside her Emily Van Egmond and Katrina Gorey. Interesting to see Naomi Sayer there. I thought her performance, particularly in the game against Iran, may have forced her to be included in this game, but Gorey coming back into the side to fulfil that creative role, and Van Egmond being that utility midfielder. On one wing, it's Fowler. On the other wing, Caitlin Ford, and leading the line, Sam Kerr. As Jack Reacher mentioned in the live chat, a lot of how good Australia are today will depend on the level of Sam Kerr. If she is at that elite, that world-class standard that we know Sam Kerr is capable of, she's been at that level for so long, it has tapered off in recent years with that major injury, and it still feels she's coming back from that. But if she's on it today, and if she's at that world-class standard, she's a difference maker in this tournament and in this match. So that's going to be a really important part. I think, obviously, Australia without Hayley Raso, but to be fair, I think that partnership with Fowler and Ford is very complementary in those wide areas, particularly when we consider who's playing at fullback, because Hayley Carpenter's going to want to overlap on that right-hand side. Fowler likes to tuck in, likes to attack through central areas. So that's going to give them a nice combination. We did see that start to come to fruition in those other group games, and when Fowler got subbed on, they're going to be the opportunities. I really like that partnership. I really like the competition in midfield. I think it's a little bit of a shame to not see Amy Sayer because I think she was really impressive in that Iran game. And while she didn't impress as much in her cameo against South Korea, I did think as a team overall, Australia did perform worse against South Korea. And South Korea are very strong. So, yeah, it's a little bit disappointing on that front. But equally, Katrina Gorey is the kind of player who has that leadership, has that experience that should be able to step her level up in this game. But she was quite disappointing in the group games that we watched. Callie says, hey everyone, but also defence can't let them down again. Yes, Australia's backline was very open in that game against South Korea. I think it's a thing that we mentioned at the start of the tournament, that centre-back partnership. It's not the strongest. I was surprised we haven't seen them experiment with Catley at centre-half. Obviously, she wouldn't be able to play today's game regardless, but that could have been something. I don't think they've got the strongest pool of goalkeepers available. So, yeah, there are some weaknesses in this Australia side, but I think that front three is probably the strongest at this tournament if they're all on their game. Again, that's the big caveat. Sam Kerr back from a major injury. Mary Fowler's played very little football this season. Caitlin Ford has really struggled for Arsenal this season. So none of them are really on their game, and that definitely plays into perhaps some of Australia's struggles. But they were free scoring against Iran, and if they can emulate that performance against North Korea, albeit against a much tougher opponent, that could be something that they can really look to build on in this tournament. Let's get into the North Korea side then. A 4-4-2 today for the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. A 4-4-2 in goal. It's Yoo Son-gun. A back five then of Ri Myung-gum, Ri Hae-gyong, An Kuk-hyang and Son Chun-sim. And then across the four, Chae Eun-yong, Kim Song-kyung, the top scorer at this competition, Myung Yu-yong, and alongside Hong Song-ok. And then a front line of Han Jin-hyung, Hong, and alongside their main goal-scoring threat, really. I know, of course, Myung Yu-jong has been the top scorer at this competition, but we'd expect big things from Kim Kyung-young. So lots to look out for in this Korea side then. Korea are a quite aggressive physical team. For anyone who watched the game between China and North Korea, what China have had over a lot of the other Asian nations and why they've been so successful in the Asian Cup is that physicality. And it's something that North Korea are able to match them on. For anyone who watched the matchup between these two in the group stage, that was a very physical encounter. Now, ultimately, China came out on top, and I would say China probably got some more superstars, the likes of Jeon, the likes of Wang Shuang. Those kind of players really step up in those moments. And I'll be intrigued to see whether North Korea can do the same, because they were so dominant in those group stage matches against Bangladesh and Uzbekistan. But the fact they weren't quite able to take it fully to China will be interesting. But if it's a matter of that physical battle today, I think they've got the edge over Australia in that regard. If Australia can make it a tactical and a technical game, that's where I think the margin starts to swing. So it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be about which side can force their opponent into a more uncomfortable situation, which side can manipulate the game to go into their favour. If Australia make it about the football, I think they'll win. They've got the better technically gifted players. If North Korea can make it a physical contest, they can edge it over Australia in this match. Australia have the home advantage. That's going to pay a huge dividend. And I think it's going to be a fantastic contest between two sides who I think are very evenly matched. So hopefully, I think we're christening this knockout stage of the Women's Asian Cup in the best way possible. Some of the other ties tomorrow when we get to Uzbekistan, South Korea, when we're looking at China, Chinese Taipei, and of course on Sunday when Japan take on the Philippines. I think those matchups are a lot more cut and dry, where we'd be expecting those big nations to win and to get through without too much of an issue. Not taking anything away from the small nations, they absolutely could pull off an upset, but would expect those sides to be dominant, those top teams. This is the big matchup. This is the two most evenly matched sides meeting in this quarter-final stage. I think it's going to be a fantastic game, especially for the neutrals. 827 says, by the way, your mic isn't plugged in. Am I just completely silent? I think it's showing as a slight issue, which doesn't make much sense to me. It was struggling to connect beforehand. I think we're just going to have to go with that for now. Apologies for the mic. MJ says, I'll be watching the game here. It's just going to be a watch-along here, but it is on YouTube in most territories. So if you can't find a way to watch the game, you're welcome to join me here. If not, thank you for joining me for the build-up. We've got 5 minutes until kick-off, both sides taking it to the field. And yeah, apologies for the mic issues. Not sure why it's not connecting, and don't know how I didn't notice that beforehand, but hopefully it will be okay. Not 100% sure how it sounds, but yeah. H.O.S. says, no, you sound like you're using your phone mic. I think it's just coming out of the Stream laptop rather than connecting to the wireless, which is a bit annoying. And I'm not really sure how to fix that issue, but we will see. Hopefully it's something that we can sort very easily. But I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, should be a good one. So while we're doing that, let's get into the predictions for this game. If you're watching along and want to get involved, then let me know your scoreline prediction ahead of kickoff, and we'll dive into those in just a moment. And obviously no Harry to turn to today, so I'll give you mine to start. I think it's going to be a very close game. I think the favourite is with the hosts, though. I think the way that Australia have played this tournament, it hasn't been impressive, but they've got some results. I think if they can continue that, then they put themselves in a strong position. I think they've got the players who can step up in this kind of occasion that could make the difference. But yeah, we'll see how it's going. But yeah, keep the predictions coming in the live chat. I'm going to say an Australia victory then. I'm going to go for Australia 2, North Korea 1. I think it's going to be a very tight game. I think it's going to be very difficult to call, and I think it will go quite deep. I think it will be a goal later into the match. But yeah, I think Australia will get the win on home soil. I'll say 2-1. I'm going to say the goals from Mary Fowler and a goal from Sam Kerr. And I'm going to go for a Kim Kyung-yeon goal for North Korea. But let's see. Jeremy going 2-1 Australia. Jack Richards saying 3-3, and then North Korea to win it on penalties. That would be one hell of a matchup. And Lloyd saying a draw. I think Australia have problems with disciplined defence. They'll rely on height advantage. So Lloyd also expecting this then to go to extra time and penalties. Well, that would be an incredible game if it does indeed go beyond the 90. But we'll have to see how it plays out in this matchup. As I say, I think it's going to be a very tight one. I'm going to be very intrigued to see how the two sides match up. But yeah, I think it's going to be a close game. Hopefully, a very enjoyable match between two sides who I think can be very evenly matched. One thing we didn't speak about as well is at left back Australia's decision today. The other matches where Catley didn't play, they've been using Courtney Nevin in that role, but it's Torpy coming into the side then for this one. Nevin did look a little bit shaky against South Korea. Whether or not that's justification to bring in Torpy or not, I think is interesting. But you know, I do think with those mistakes Nevin made, looking a little bit shaky against South Korea, that's perhaps the reasoning there. Sally Bundy, thank you so much for becoming a fair weather fan. Thank you. Memberships are the best way to support us on the channel. More members we have, and we are going to push for members-only content. Once we get a few more members, we're going to start producing that after, or hopefully after the season. So yeah, becoming a member is the best way to support. So thank you so much for that. We appreciate all the members to the channel. Jeremy's saying too close to call, really. Yeah, I think that's the nature. So I'm going 2-1. I think it is going to be a narrow margin of victory either way. I think even if we are in a position where North Korea do win its day, I think it's going to be a fairly evenly matched contest. So yeah, I think it will be tight in that regard. But we'll see how it plays out. Again, I think they're very evenly matched sides. I think North Korea are coming in with ambitions to re-establish themselves on this kind of scene. We know for the last few years they've not been at this competition, but they've been so dominant at youth levels, and they'll be hoping that today can emulate that kind of success if they can put themselves in a position where they are able to really compete and properly compete with the teams right at the top of the AFC. That stands them in really good stead, I think, going forwards. Obviously, the winner of this will qualify for the World Cup. That's a really important principle, really, for both nations. I think Australia will be desperate to get that over the line. Of course, going through qualifiers will be quite messy for Australia. North Korea, quite similarly. I think they'll want to, if they can win this and automatically qualify for the World Cup, it puts them in a position where they're suddenly looking like one of the favourites in Asia. So yeah, I think it's going to be fascinating to see this contest. Two sides, I think, can be very evenly matched, and we will see how the game plays out. But yeah, A27 says we'll be surprised by North Korea. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much of a surprise. I guess a lot of people are expecting Australia to win today, but I'm not sure how much of a surprise. That one, yeah, I think it's one of those where I think it will be quite an. I think it. Yeah, while a lot of people are expecting Australia, I wouldn't be too surprised if North Korea did win today. I think watching them at this tournament, they have been incredibly aggressive, and that's something where I think they can edge Australia in that regard. So yeah, both sets of players taking it to their places on the field then. So we're about to get underway in this match. Australia taking on North Korea in this first quarter-final. Again, North Korea haven't been in this competition for a few years now. This is their opportunity to really get into the knockouts, taking on the hosts in this contest and it's North Korea to get us underway in this game. Kim Kyung-yong from the middle, waits for the rest of the whistle, and dummies it initially, now knocks it back, and we're underway in this game as Australia taking on North Korea in the first of these quarter-final matches in the Women's Asian Cup. And it's North Korea on the ball early on here. Out towards Song Chun-sim. Back towards Ri Hae-gyong. Ball down the line from Chun-sim. Lovely play down this left-hand side. Now goes inside to Kim Song-kyung. Pass down the line. North Korea looking to progress down the left-hand side. Carpenter here just standing her ground up against the winger Song Ok. And a strong challenge there to stop Han Jing Hang from progressing. And now Australia trying to come forwards quickly. That, though, a poorly hit pass from Emily Van Egmond, unable to find a teammate. And the pass back now from An, all the way to Yu Song-gun. North Korea looking to be a little bit more direct, lifting it towards the right-hand side. Great anticipation there from Torpy. Just jumped in front there of Myung Yoo-jung and knocked it out of play. Jack Reach says even if Australia lose, they can still go to the 2027 World Cup through the playoffs, though. Well, exactly. They won't want to go through intercontinental playoffs. That takes away a lot of matches, and not only does that mean there's a chance they don't qualify, because those will be difficult games, but it also means that from a commercial point of view, while they could be playing some friendlies against some big nations and they could be getting the revenue from that, they'll instead be playing these matches which, while they'd be significant, aren't going to draw perhaps the same crowds and the same interest as if they played against an England or a USA or a Japan. And that, yeah, they'll be considering both those factors. Obviously, the main thing they'll want to do is qualify with the most ease and the most comfort. And I think obviously the easiest way to do that is just to get through this competition and qualify through being in the semi-finals. Ball launched forwards there by Cook Yang. Flicked on well. Here's Han. Needs the support now. That's forced back into Chun-sim. Lovely footwork in midfield, but it's won back by Fowler, and Australia can look to break away now. Van Egmond to the left-hand side. Here's Caitlin Ford. Looking to knock it in behind. Good header away. An assertive midfield play from Song-kyung. Knocks it out towards the right-hand side. Just about squeezing that through the lines there was Che. Nice hold up there from Jin Hong. Not quite able to hold on to that Eun-yong, the right winger. And that's out for an Australia throw-in. Ace to the strings. This will be an interesting matchup. Yeah, exactly. I think that's the broad sentiment. Is it's going to be a very close game today. I don't see either side running away with it. Ball slipped through the lines. Good control in there. And dispossessed easily though. Jin Hong. A strong chance from Katrina Gorey, and does leave the North Korean forward on the deck. Did look like she stepped in quite aggressively there, Gorey. Does get the ball though, to be fair, it's the aftermath. But I don't think she's done anything wrong there. Katrina Gorey's a really good challenge. And the follow through just sees them collide. And I think Jin Hong, just catches her ankle a little bit as she lands on the turf. She lands with a little bit wonky. But it does seem to be okay. Throw now then for North Korea on this right-hand side. Myung-gam, the fullback, looking for an option to throw it to. Nice give and go with Eun-yong. Can they correct a crossing opportunity back with Che Eun-yong? Ball swung into the area. That's one hell of a delivery chance for North Korea. Headed over by Kim Kyung-yong. Unable there to find the target. And this is a fantastic delivery from the centre half, I believe it is there. Kang-yeong just stepping up and swinging that ball in brilliantly. And really, Kim Kyung-yong should have finished that. It was just always going to be quite difficult to get over that ball with the way it was swung in. And yeah, just couldn't quite translate that power into the back of the opposition net. But a nice move from North Korea, threatening Australia early on here. Here's Hunt. Torpy. Back again to Hunt. And she goes back to Mackenzie Arnold. And Australia can build out from their goalkeeper here. Options to the left and right. Going to go more direct this time, though. Arnold straight into Sam Kerr, who holds it up brilliantly. Wide now with Ford, who delays. Now looks to knock it into the runner, Katrina Gorey. Good defending, though, from Cook Yang, who just sees it back to a goalkeeper without issues. Again, Australia, it was really good initial play. That direct ball from Arnold into Kerr. Her hold-up, obviously, is excellent. Brings Ford into the game, but they can't quite find that third-man combination. Chun Sing. Now back with Kakyang. Ball inside. Song Kyung goes back wide into Chun Slim. And that's out of play. And just a slight miscommunication there between the two. Carpenter able to win the throw there. Now throws it all the way back to Heatley. Back down the line into Carpenter. Will be forced backwards here. Great pressure again here from North Korea. Song OK just chasing down Carpenter. Here's Ford on the touchline. Holding the width well. Forced backwards into Hunt. Now looking for option. Pass across the Kennedy now splitting the centre halves. Here's Carpenter. I've really enjoyed, and I think it works well, Kennedy splitting the centre halves. But the problem you've got is that both of Australia's fullbacks are quite conservative in these early stages. So you're almost ending up with a flat five. And what Australia are looking to do is actually get those fullbacks a bit higher and stretch North Korea. Instead, what we're seeing is that is a flat five that is just quite deep and quite conservative. And it's just too easy at the moment for North Korea to just limit them playing out Australia. Australia just resorting to those longer balls or trying to progress through the wide areas. But there's not really the options out there. Carpenter, Tagore. Look a bit braver in possession. I know North Korea are a very good side without the ball, and that does make life difficult today for Australia. They are trying to push the fullbacks a little higher now. But I think they've got to be brave on the ball at times, Australia. They've got the players to make up for it. I guess, again, transitional threat is a big thing today. With that Australia backline up against the pace in that North Korea front line. Cook Yang under pressure from Kerr, who wins it back brilliantly. Physical forward play from Kerr. Cuts it back now. The wrong decision falls for Kennedy, who opens up the body to fire it home. And Australia take the lead in this game. Alana Kennedy, who's been in scintillating form in this competition, keeps it up with another strike here. And it's really good work from Kennedy. It's not the perfect pass back there from Kerr. It's easy to misjudge. And actually it was picked off initially. But Kennedy works hard, puts pressure on the ball and finds the opening goal in this game. There'll be a question of offside in the build-up. Brilliant work though from Kerr. Cook Yang just running herself into a bit of trouble there. And Kerr on hand to pick it up. The cutback wasn't perfect. It fell for Kennedy, who got it out of her feet with a lovely ball roll and smashed it home. It's Australia 1, North Korea 0 in this contest, and a great start for the Matildas. VAR will check this though. Brilliant stuff. Kennedy with her 5th goal, I believe, now in this competition. There is a question though around Sam Kerr in an offside position. Let's get the VAR graphic on the screen. Was Kerr offside? That's what they're going to be checking. I think she may have just gone a little bit too soon. No, the decision is a goal. Nothing wrong with Kerr's movement there. I think they also would have checked if it was a foul, but it wasn't. The goal is legal. Australia lead in this game. Incredible stuff. Again, who had Alana Kennedy for Golden Boot on their bingo card at the start of this competition? just found a real knack for goals. And while the London City side that have struggled in front of goal this season, maybe they could do no worse than putting their centre half up front. Ball lifted forwards. Torpy picks it off, plays inside to Gorey, nods round the corner well. Van Egmond will give chase. Shielded well, and that is a foul from Van Egmond. Just pulling down Hae-gyong. Work now for North Korea to do in this game. They've got to try and fight their way back. Again, it was always going to be difficult if they conceded early because you've now got that mountain to climb. You've got also an Australia side with the home crowd behind them and the lead behind them now, and it gives them something to defend. Really, I think the question will be now: what is Australia's game plan? What is their mentality for the rest of this? Do they now go a little bit more conservative, try and see out the 1-0 victory? This is tournament football after all. Or do they look for that second? Do they really put this game beyond, give them a cushion, look to put this game beyond doubt and be more comfortable? That's going to be the interesting contrast now and what they look to do. Will they manage the game or do they kick on for a second? Ball lifted over the top there by Kuk-yang. Good assertive defending there from Heatley, who shifts it wide to Fowler, tries there to go around Chun Sim. Can't quite find the space to do so. Runs it out of play for a North Korea throw-in, and that will be Chun Sim to take. And she's looking up the line here. Goes into the feet of Chok Song. Oh, Song okay, sorry. And yeah, that just running it out of play there. That's not the first time. It's just been a little bit sloppy from North Korea in wide areas, and it is giving Australia the chance to win back possession. Carpenter looking down the line. Great hold up from Kerr. He's going to look to put it into the box. Blocked away well. And that'll bounce out for an Australia corner to follow. Really good football again from Australia. Probing for another goal in this contest. If they could double their advantage, they could put themselves in that more dominant position. That would give them a great stranglehold in this tie. Van Egmond over this corner then. And they have been a threat from corners, particularly with Alana Kennedy, who would be looking for her brace. There will be delay to start in this corner as there's pushing in the penalty area. And the referee wanting to impose her authority, stopping any funny business in the box. So now Van Egmond can take the corner. Van Egmond laying it flat towards the back post. A good claim, though, in the air from Son Gum. And now looking to release it quickly. Ball hangs well. Chance now for Kim Kyung-yong. Isn't quite going to get there. Brilliant work from Ellie Carpenter with the recovery pace. And Australia regain possession. Kennedy into Katrina Gorey. Looks to the left-hand side with Hunt. Heatley. Kennedy now wants to go more direct. Straight to the feet of Kerr. Round the corner, Fowler. Looks inside now. Chops back. Needing support. Reverses it brilliantly. A good header away, though, from Kuk-yang. And now wide. Chun Sim picked off in midfield by Van Egmond. Fowler into the feet of Kerr. Picked off in there, but it's won by Ford. Kerr now makes the run off the shoulder. Can she hold it up? Bit of a nudge in the box, but it's a clean challenge. And really important challenge from Sun Chin Sim. Picked off that long ball from North Korea by Torpy. Down the line to Ford. And one back in midfield. A good contest. Launched over the top by Hae-gyong. Ball's going to hold up well for Jin Hong. Does look like she was fouled in there. And a late call from the assistant referee on this near side, but it will be a free kick for North Korea. Data asks, is Catley playing? Steph Catley is not playing. Catley out with a concussion. Montemurro confirmed in yesterday's press conference that she wouldn't be available. Should be back. I mean, it's going to be interesting because obviously it depends on the severity, but usual concussion protocol is 14 days of rest. Now, how severe it is, we can't be sure. So it may be a shorter period, but that could see Catley ruled out for the rest of the Asian Cup. Ball delivered in towards the front post. Torpy heading away well. Kerr now trying to get it under her control and does so, looping it towards Ford. It drops now in midfield. And it's strong from Gory, but it's won back in there brilliantly by Song Gyong. Down the line now. And that didn't leave the field of play, not in the opinion of the officials, but it is picked off anyway by Hunt. And after some decision, it is now going to be a throw-in. Little bit delayed on this near side as the assistant referee, just taking her time to make decisions. Does make it quite difficult. Both Rosso and Catley on that bench, not available as substitutes in this game, both picking up knocks in recent fixtures. Van Egmond carrying it forwards. One back by Song Gyong. Passed round the corner. Here's Jin Hong. Knocks it wide. Eun-yong. Down the line. And that smart play from Claire Hunt. Knocking it into the run of Kyung-yong. And able to win a throw-in. Clean challenge there. Physical challenge from Myung-gun. And Kerr feeling the after effects of it. Asking the assistant referee why that's not a foul. Ball wide. Here's Eun-young. Blocked well by Torpy, who got up to her quickly. And that will be a North Korea corner to follow. I see why Kerr's annoyed. There is a decent amount of contact, but I actually think she gets the ball there, Myung-gun, without too much issue. Gets the foot around Kerr and wins that ball. There's contact. It's physical as a challenge, but this is a contact sport. Not too much wrong there from the North Korea fullback. Agnator asking who scored. It was Alana Kennedy with her 5th goal in this competition. That takes her to the top goal scorer as it stands. Ball in from Song Gyong. Cleared away well. Ball bounce around the edge of this box. And a shot now from range. Arnold sees it all the way. A speculative effort there from Hong Song. Okay. And nice work from Arnold. Saw it all the way and collected it without issue. And they'll build out from the back now. Hunt. Into Carpenter. Goes back now into Heatley. Arnold. And just gets that one a little bit wrong. It's going to drop now in this central area. Heatley does well. Assertive defending to step up. Now plays it into Kerr. And he does do well there to hold up the ball under pressure. Carpenter, drop of the shoulder as she moves back into the defensive line. And now it's with Hunt. Across to Kennedy. Chat Reach says Sam Kerr was offside for the goal. I haven't seen a replay of the goal since it went in. There was a brief one which didn't really show whether Kerr was on or off. But yeah, back now into Hunt. Torpy. Ford dispossessed in there. A really strong challenge though from Torpy to recover it. And now Australia moves to the right-hand side. Hunt gives it to Heatley, who steps up into midfield. Now into Fowler in this wide space. Needs support. Able to play that forwards into Kerr, but it's one back in there. Assertive defending from Kit Yong. Ball knocked in behind. Now the run of Jin Hong. Offering a bit of threat there, but it's good defending from Hunt. Arnold into Torpy. Reverses it round the corner. It's picked up in midfield without issue by Myung Yu Yong. Here is Hong Song okay. Looking to come inside. Myung Yu Yong. One back now in midfield, and that's a bit of a late challenge on Fowler, and that will be given as an Australia free kick. A couple fouls in there from North Korea, trying to be assertive in midfield, trying to win the ball back quickly. Ultimately, though, overstepping the line, and it will be a free kick to follow for Australia. But yeah, Myung Yu Yong just trying to anticipate that a bit too soon, and ends up catching Katrina Gorey. Kerr tries to go around the corner. Ball bouncing around a lot in there, but it does now drop to Myung-gun. Ball over the top. Carpenter will collect it without issue and goes back now into Arnold. Agnator asks, when will Australia players be back for the WSL? Depending on when they get knocked out of the competition, they will be back after next Saturday's final. So they'll miss this weekend of fixtures, including the League Cup final, and they'll miss next weekend's round of fixtures. Chance now for North Korea. Ball across the box, and Torpy there, taking the safe option and knock it out for a corner. But North Korea can keep the pressure on. What will be interesting is whether any of the Asian players play, or any players from the Asian Cup play in the Champions League quarter-finals. Because they will fly back, presumably, the day after the Asian Cup final, if whichever teams make it there. Ball lifted in towards the back post, cleared away by Torpy. I mean, they likely won't be in the UK until Monday, and then obviously those first legs are Tuesday and Wednesday. The 24th and 25th, something along those lines. So that's going to be really interesting to see whether they do actually play those matches or not. Ball lifted over the top. Brought down well by Onyong. Wants to take on Heatley, lifts it into the box, and that's a high foot, I think, in there, and an offside to boot. And Hunt is down now. Jin Hong there, just trying to bring that under her control in the air, but ends up just booting their Hunt in the side of the head. Quite hefty contact there between the boot of the forward and Claire Hunt. So Australia now building out from the back. Arnold. Hunt into Torpy, looking down the line. Has that gone out of play? It has indeed. Good pressure from North Korea. And a throw in on this near side. Myongam. And that lifted forwards. Poor pass, really, from Kim Song-kyung. Torpy. And that throw-in finds it direct into Kerr. Great hold-up. Drops it to Ford. But it's one back in there well as Ford can't hold on to possession. Song-kyung. Back now to Kook Yang. Now Chun Sim. Down the line. Song Okay. Back to Chun Sim. Looking to be direct with it. Hits it in behind. Well-timed run here from Hin Chong. Looking to lift it over Arnold. But that doesn't quite have the height on it. And a comfortable claim, really, for Mackenzie Arnold. And now Australia building out. Callum asking, any more watch-alongs after this with Harry? Harry will be joining me tomorrow morning as we're live for South Korea versus Uzbekistan. Unfortunately, he's not able to join us for either of the semi-finals next week, but he will be here for the final next Saturday. And, of course, we will be live this weekend as the return of the WSL in the midweek and the League Cup final on Sunday. There's also, obviously, the WSL fixtures next weekend. So lots to look out for over the next week before we get back into the Champions League quarter-finals. We'll be live for all of the first legs and we'll be live for the second legs on the Thursday, the Real Madrid-Barca game, or Barcelona versus Real Madrid, and the game between OL Lyonnais and Wolfsburg. We'll be live for the second legs of those and all of the first legs of the Champions League. North Korea in possession. Myongam, great hold up in there from Jin Hong. Building to the right-hand side now. Looks to carry centrally. Kim Kyung-yong taking aim. Again, though, not quite able to get enough on that. Just wraps a foot around it too much and it finds Arnold in the centre of the goal. Carpenter. Back now with Kennedy, who's just splitting the centre half here, ends up the deepest player in the field. Now wants to go direct, hitting that long ball. And, well, that diagonal goes out of play. And despite Australia leading in this match, it's North Korea who've had more of the possession, 55% to 45% in favour of North Korea. And aerial duels in this match have been 100% for North Korea thus far, showing perhaps that physical aspect we were talking about. Dominating on ground duels as well, but they haven't quite found the route to goal. Australia, just one shot, but it was a shot on target. It was the opening goal in this game. North Korea playing the better stuff though. Can they find some sort of level up? Eun-young lifts it in there. Header on target. Brilliant save from Mackenzie Arnold. Not much more that Kim Kyung-yong could have done about that one. Lovely delivery from Eun-young onto the head of Kim Kyung-yong. And down to it brilliantly was Mackenzie Arnold. That strong left hand denying the header to the bottom corner. And she did well as well to react immediately afterwards. That ball spilled free. Good play though from North Korea. And I have to say, I think they've been the better side in this contest. If they can find a goal to level it, could become a little nervy for Australia. Throwing down the line. One back there by Hae-gyong. Now with the goalkeeper Song-gun dropping now between the centre halves. Kim Song-kyung carrying the ball forwards, that's towards the left-hand side here. It's the centre half, Cook Yang, who's going to look to progress this ball. That's a great diagonal ball. Slipped inside now to Hin Jong. What can they look to do? Chun Sim released down the left-hand side. It's one back though by Heatley, who clears it into a opposition player and is able to win a throw-in as a consequence. And so now Carpenter with this throw-in. Looking to go down the line again. Bounces through to Kerr, who cushions it back to Gory. Looks to go direct. Brilliant play there from Myung-gum. Intercepting that pass, missed that, and Ford is running in behind. Now looking to go direct down the left-hand side once again. Kim Kyung-yong making the run. Seems to have made it too early though, and that flag goes up for offside. And so Australia now with this free kick. As we pan over to the gaffer. Kerr knocks it back now to Fowler. One high at the pitch here by Chun Sim. Ball knocked in behind. And Hin Yong can't quite hold on to that. Running it out of play. That'll be an Australia throw-in on the far side. But yeah, I think it's been a fairly even game. I think though North Korea have been the marginally better team. Ball played wide now as they look to progress here. North Korea. Lovely knock round the corner there from Myung-Yoo Jong. Ball lifted towards the back post. Torpy gets ahead to it. And now Ford combines well with Torpy. And that just over the line there, really. Torpy caught in the challenge. I think this will be a free kick or at least a throw-in for Australia to follow. Lloyd says maybe there's no point playing long against 6-foot-tall Australians. To be fair, yeah, I think those long balls aren't quite coming off. But I think that's more to do with the fact that it is quite a deep line from Australia. There's not much space to attack into. So if you're watching where those balls are happening, it's getting it wide then going down the line. And you're putting your players into very narrow channels. There's a very small amount of space to receive it. There's also not much width, or not much depth, sorry, to this pitch. Because of how Australia are using pitch geography. They're dropping quite deep. So there's not a lot of space to attack into. I almost feel like they need to, because they're drawing the press well, North Korea, and they're looking to stretch the opposition backline quite effectively. They need someone in those central areas then to exploit the lack of players. Because Australia can't both press high and drop deep. They've got to stretch them better and then use those space, pass it into those pockets to play forwards. But I do just feel that playing this kind of 4-4-2 means that your midfield's got to be it's a stretched or I'm trying to think of what the best way to describe it is, but it's a diagonal pivot in there. One's going between the midfield, one's going to do between the centre halves, one's offering a wider option. It's a split pivot. It then doesn't really leave anyone in those creative roles, and you've got the wingers quite wide, the fullbacks quite high and wide. there's just nothing in those central areas. The two strikers trying to push onto the back line. So at the moment, they're doing really well to stretch Australia across the field, but actually there's no one in those central positions to exploit that, to exploit the space really that Australia are giving up in there. So it'd be interesting to see if they can do something about that. Ball swung in now towards the back post from North Korea. It bounces down and Fowler will clear it away without issue. Picking up on the loose pass now. It's wide with Myong-gum looking to lift it into the box. That's a great delivery. Headed away well by Kennedy. And now Kerr holding it up, looking to swing it round the corner. And Kuk Yang picking up the ball, going down the line. Song-gyong. Now Myong-yu-yong. Back out wide, Sun-yong. Ball into this central area, dispossessed in there. It was Myong-yu-yong, but it's a foul for Katrina Gorey. And a free kick in a decent area here for North Korea. And they could. I mean, they've got a few options here. It's kind of too far away to get a shot, a meaningful shot, but they could definitely put the goalkeeper under a bit of pressure here. And see if you can do something a little bit different, although just look to put this into the penalty area and get ahead on it. Australia's fourth foul of the game, though. So yeah, I think I'll look to lift this into the box then. It's Song-gyong who actually knocks it wide now. Myong-gum knocks it down the line. Eun-yong, Myong-gum cleared away by Katrina Gorey, or blocked out of play really by Gorey. Corner for North Korea to follow. Didn't quite work out that routine. It wasn't the space for Myong-gum to get that delivery away. They go short with another one. Myong-gum knocks it wide. Referee isn't satisfied that everyone was ready there. So the corner will be retaken. Will they try the same routine again? They will. A little less surprising this time. Song-gyong plays it short. Round the corner from Eun-yong. Good save. And that goes out for another corner. Australia should have reacted a lot quicker to that. North Korea, I mean, maybe it's a case of not expecting them to do the same thing twice there, but North Korea played it short and there was such little reaction. Gorey was quite passive in her attempts to put pressure on it, and no one got out to Eun-yong, who offered that support. Corner again for North Korea. Another one short, doesn't come to much, comes off Katrina Gorey. And so Song-gyong takes it short once more. Myong-gum trying to open up the space of the cross. Lovely footwork, good delivery. Assertive goalkeeping from Mackenzie Arnold, who's out to that one well. Hunt. Arnold. Lifting it forwards, picked off well in there by Kuk Yang. Now wide into Son Chin Sim. Puts it in there. Good block away there from Arnold, who parries it to safety. Now it's lifted forwards, but it will be pulled back for, I believe, an offside. Or it may have been a foul. Can't quite see what the referee was signalling there. Hunt lifting down the line. And lifting out of play. Myong-gum with the throw in now for North Korea. A give and go. Myong-gum goes down the line. Good hold up from Eun-yong. Ball down the line from Hin-jong. That will run out of play. That'll be an Australia throw it. Torpy. Looking down the line once more. Header inside, Eun-yong. Hin-jong just barreled down in there by Hunt. And well, there's got to be a call soon of a yellow card for Australia, because that's their sixth foul now, I think, in this game. Trying to be assertive against North Korea, but they're just committing quite a few fouls. This one, I think, could have been a yellow. Barreling through the back there. of Han Jin Hong. Han Jin Hong. Yeah, could have been a yellow for Hunt. Free kick now for North Korea. Two players over this. Looks like it will be Hong Song okay to take Kim Song Gyong over it as well. They tried a few routines in this game. Interesting to see whether this is another or whether they just put this ball into the area. Have they got any more tricks up their sleeve in this game? Song okay looks to be the one over this. Both stepped up, both poised to take. Song Gyong lifts it in towards the near post. It's not fully dealt with in their calls for a handball against Van Egmond. Not given by the referee, but VAR will have a look. Kook Yang out towards the left-hand side. Here is Song Chun Sim. Ball into the area, cleared away in there. And a little bit messy as Van Egmond wins it back in midfield. Fowler. Back to Heatley. Katrina Gori out towards the left-hand side, and that's out of play. And now North Korea will make their protests a little bit more vocal about a potential penalty. We're going to have a look at this replay. Oh, I can't really see from that angle. So it comes off the back there of Chaeyeon-yong, and it's not going to be given as a penalty there. So it comes off the back and then hits the hand of Van Egmond. I think because of the proximity, that's why we've not seen that given there. Because it's not anything that Van Egmond, it's not an unnatural position. The arms are quite central and it's very close proximity. There's not a lot that Van Egmond can do about that. It doesn't really impact the play because if it doesn't hit her arms, it's going to hit her body. Yeah, I'm not too concerned about that one. I think that's the right call. I understand why you call for it, of course, hit a hand, but I don't think that's a penalty. Van Egmond, Kennedy into Heatley. Carpenter, now Fowler. Ball lifted forwards and into the gloves of Sungam. And Sungam plays out to the left-hand side. Myongam looks down the line. Che flicks around the corner. That's a strong challenge from Jin Hong. And Song Gyong dispossessed in there. Throw in now for North Korea. Montemurro, some quite vocal protests towards the referee about the fouls in there. And yeah, I think they're some of the assistant referees, some of the additional officials here, just having to calm Montemurro down. Ball in behind now from Gori. Van Egmond giving chase. Don't think she fully believed in that one though. And Songam out to collect without too much issue. Inkej says, could there be another goal? Absolutely there could. North Korea, I think, have been the better side. I'd be very surprised they don't score in this game. The question will be how Australia respond to that, or if they can score before then. Fowler. Carpenter. One back well. Kim Kyung-yong round the corner. Hong Song okay. Picked off there by Torpy as they try and go direct. And that cleared all the way out for a North Korea goal kick. Building out from the back. Myongam. Pass inside now for Kim Kyung-yong, who just dropped in to receive it. Now carrying it forward, Zun-yong. One back in there well though. Ford reversing round the corner. Van Egmond holds it up. Now looking for Ford again, who will carry the ball inside. Kerr now in support. Back to Ford. A little too quick there. That combination. North Korea playing to the right-hand side. Songam. Just one back in there. Myongam there trying to combine with Kim Song-kyung. Carpenter down the line into Fowler. Tries there to beat her fullback. Does well to carry it inside. That's a poor pass though from Mary Fowler. Myeong Yu-Yong can't quite find that ball out to the right hand side. Torpy winning it back. And now Hunt. Kennedy, Hunt. Here's Kennedy. Torpy. Forced all the way back there to Hunt. Arnold lifting to the right hand side. Carpenter now looks to carry down the line. One in midfield looking for Kim Kyung-hyun. A good battle here emerging in that midfield. Some feisty challenges have been put in. I think the referee doing well to let the game run a little bit more. Torpy. Here's Hunt. Kennedy. Wide into Heatley. Back now to Alana Kennedy, who's going to go to the left-hand side now. Claire Hunt. Looks down the line, picked up by Myung-gum. Heading it inside, Van Egmond picks up on the bouncing ball to Ford, round the corner to Torpy. Ford fell, but Australia have possession. Torpy inside to Ford in the box now. Good defending. Ford tries to pull back the centre half, but the goalkeeper pouncing on it, and Ford now frustrated. Don't think she realised there that the advantage was given. And yeah, couldn't do much with the second ball. Good pressure here from Gorey. Australia overturn it high up the field. Gorey exchanging with Van Egmond. Pass inside, looking for Kerr. A haphazard clearance, and just about there, Myung-gum keeping it from going for a corner. Messy from Kook Yang. Throw in for Australia. Torpy up the line to take. Torpy inside, headed away well. Kennedy lifted forwards. Gorey losing out. Nice work here from North Korea. Trying to progress the ball in this central area. Now knocked back to Kook Yang. Wide into Chun-Sum. It's forced backwards. Kook Yang across the back line. Hae-gyong. Now Kyung-gum. Kyung-gum. Back again to Hae-gyong. Jack Roach says, Australia poor so far. I think they've been particularly poor. I think they've been the slightly worse team, but I don't think it's been poor by any stretch. I think they've done well to nullify the threat of North Korea. I mean, for all of their possessions, they haven't really had a proper threatening opportunity. 5 shots, 4 on target sounds great, and they have done decently, but they haven't really had a big chance yet. Ball floated in towards the back post, and Kim Kyung-hyun does get ahead to it. Well wide of the mark, though. Much more of a defensive clearance in the end there, rather than anything that would trouble the goalkeeper. And so Australia building out for the back once again. As the camera pans to a grimacing Joe Montemuro. Probably slightly frustrated by the lack of control Australia have had in this match. It's become quite end-to-end. Eun-young into Kim Kyung-hyun. Eun-young plays it forward. Jin-hong in possession now. Can she find a teammate? Cuts it back. And good defending from Gore. I think there's going to be a little more dishonesty. Falls now for Chun-Sim. That's blocked well. I think there's got to be a bit more dishonesty there in midfield from North Korea. I think Kim Sung-young's got to go into that challenge hoping to get make contact with Gori because it's a penalty. Instead, she kind of backs out of it. Kerr looks to go down the line. It's not really honesty. It's just, I guess, leaning into that contact. We know what's given us a penalty in this era of VAR now. I think you've just got to be a little smart there and look to draw the foul in the box. 2 minutes of additional time as well in this first half here in Perth. Troy says Montemurro isn't happy at all. I can see why. Didn't he say that they wanted to dominate possession? That's always been Montemurro's tactical style. It's always been one of his key principles. Dictate possession to be able to control the game. They've only had 42% of the ball in this one. And it does look like they've definitely shifted towards being more transitional, being more direct, which is very interesting. It worked nicely for that first goal, but I think apart from that, they've really struggled. Kurt is quite isolated up there. You don't really have anyone playing off of her. I think the idea or the intention is that Van Egmond is, but when Kennedy splits to centre halves, the wingers aren't really coming in quick enough. The fullbacks aren't really getting high quick enough. No one from the midfield is then pushing up because obviously Kennedy's dropped between, so you don't want to then push your midfield high. So just not really giving her much to play with. Kim Kyung-yeong. Can she get a shot away now? Cuts it back. Nice play there. A lovely turn. A shot now across goal. And Hong Sung-ok striking the far post with her effort. That should be the leveller. That's a lovely combination in the penalty area from North Korea. Arnold's beaten, but the post prevents it. Just wide. Skimming off the far post, and that really should see this game level, but just hitting the far post there with their effort. Hong Sung-ok. And Arnold, I think, breathing a sigh of relief. That is the half-time whistle here in Perth. Australia 1, North Korea 0. That doesn't tell the full story of that first half. It's been it's a narrow victory, or a narrow lead, I should say, for Australia, but it's been an even match. If anything, North Korea have been the strongest side. The opening goal in their game coming from that direct ball towards Sam Kerr, who shrugged off the defender. A misplaced cutback, but Kennedy pounced well and fired home for her 5th in the tournament so far. That's the only difference maker at this stage, though. And that, Australia's only shot in the first half. Korea's 8 attempts, 4 on target. Unable, though, to find the back of the net. Some saves from Mackenzie Arnold have been important. But North Korea struggling just to create anything that's particularly clear-cut. Good match-up thus far. And at half-time, it's Australia 1, North Korea 0. But yeah, no co-host to turn to today, so get your thoughts in the live chat, and you can act as my co-host. Let me know what you thought of that first half. We'll discuss all that and more over the next 15 minutes before we get back underway for the second 45. It's been lovely to see a nice competitive contest. I think a lot of the games I've watched this Asian Cup have been very much one-sided affairs. I think with the exception of Australia-South Korea, which was this fantastic end-to-end frantic game, they've all been quite dominant, particularly the Japan game we watched on Tuesday, and particularly, obviously, Japan's 11-0 win over India. But we're getting into the quarterfinals now, and this is a really good matchup. 2 evenly matched sides playing quite contrasting, but therefore quite competitive playing styles. And Australia have used less of the ball to create more with it. 42% possession in that first half to North Korea's 58%. Just 1 shot and 1 on target, to compared to 8 shots, half of which have been on target for North Korea. Completed 50 more passes with a higher pass accuracy, more than 10% over Australia. It's been a really good performance in certain aspects from North Korea, but I think the way Australia have set up is why perhaps they'll draw criticism, but also why they're in the lead. Let's look back at this first goal first, though. Kerr does really well here, doesn't give up on the ball, and shrugs Kuk-yang off possession. It's a really good, assertive forward play from Sam Kerr. Looks for the cutback. Doesn't quite come to Van Egmond. Really good anticipation here from Cheon-Young, who steps up and wins the ball, but it falls to Alana Kennedy. A lovely ball roll from Kennedy, and she dispatches of it with venom. A nice, again, the range of strikes from Kennedy at this tournament has been fascinating to watch. Who knew she had this in her locker? But that ability to create the space, open up the body, fire across goal, the difference maker thus far. North Korea, though, have had a lot of the ball. They've had a lot of these chances. But what Australia are doing very well, it's part of perhaps why they're struggling in attacking areas, is the way they're set up in this match. They are very conservative, very defensive. We are seeing them be very narrow in defensive areas. In build-up, they're quite conservative in their approach. We're seeing Kennedy split the centre halves. The fullbacks aren't really getting particularly high. And they're looking to, when they're defending, pack those central areas. So we're seeing North Korea try and press Australia, and while they're not really turning it over, they are limiting Australia from playing forwards, often then forcing Australia to be a little bit more direct. Now, they could really solve that issue in two ways, Australia. They can push the fullbacks higher and try to be a bit more aggressive. But again, where is the risk management there? If they push them high, do they leave themselves vulnerable? Is there any point to that at this stage? Probably not. So they're leaning into this more direct game where they're trying to find Kerr in behind. It paid dividends for the opening goal in the game. Ultimately, it hasn't beared much fruit since, but they got that goal, and that is an important factor. Since then, they've gone quite defensively, and what we're seeing North Korea look to do is that they want to get the ball wide quite quickly to then be able to look for balls into the box and look for cutbacks. Or at least that's, again, what Australia are forcing them to do. Again, very narrow, very compact in their style. It comes across even in their pressing structure, where we're seeing them come inside, seeing them force the ball out wide. And a lot of the time, the exit ball for North Korea is that long looping pass down the line, looking to stretch the pitch a little bit more. So again, they're manipulating North Korea in that way, Australia. They're forcing their hand a little in the way that they're going to play. And what it's stopping North Korea doing is penetrating centrally. And if we think about all the shots they've taken in this game, well, a few have been from corners, a few have been recycling from corners. Kim Kyung-Young had that header, which was a ball into the box, which again, they probably should have dealt with the number of bodies in there from Australia. But even so, Kim Kyung-Young didn't really have the space in there to generate the power or the accuracy or the precision with that header. And so they've not been fun to watch, Australia, but ultimately, have they given up anything that constitutes a big chance? Not really. The best chance is that header I mentioned a moment ago, and that opportunity for Eun-Young, who was able to recycle it from a corner, got the ball and spun well and had a little bit of space to get the shot away. But it has the hallmarks of a Montemuro performance. This whole tournament really has, where a lot of their games earlier on were quite slow, quite patient possession-based football. This game, they've kind of moved away from that, but it's a similar level of not attractive to watch because they are trying to be the conservative side, and ultimately it may not be pretty, but it is effective, and this is how you've got to do it sometimes in tournament football. So, yeah, Kelly saying Australia giving the ball way too easy. You need to be calm on the ball because without it they won't create much. Well, that's the other way they can solve their build-up issues, actually playing through the initial stages of press. They've got Gorey and they've got Van Egmond in there. Gorey in particular is very comfortable receiving the ball under pressure, so they could try and be a little bit. I think the theme is whether they want to be more risk, whether they want to take more risk, whether they want to continue in this sort of risk-averse setup, because they can try and play century, they can try and push their fullbacks higher in those build-up phases. That will allow them then to probably be a little bit more aggressive. But I think they're quite happy with how that first half's played out. North Korea haven't had a clear opportunity. I do think something has to change. I think eventually North Korea will have a big chance, but ultimately it's working for now. But again, I think they should change. They should be proactive rather than reactive. Change now before North Korea actually do create something quite meaningful. But yeah, let's get into then your guys' thoughts in the live chat. Lloyd says, Jota got out of the back line, which is an utter liability into attacking midfield, and now she's better forward than Sam Kerr or Bunny Shaw. So, yeah, I'm talking there on Alana Kennedy. So what Kennedy's role is and why she's been so effective in this tournament is that she's quite difficult to pick up. So what we saw on that first goal is that Kennedy starts the build-up phase in the back three. It goes quite direct to the right-hand side. Obviously, everyone then pushes forwards as Australia looking to attack. But because Kennedy's coming from that centre-back position and pushing into that sort of base of midfield role, no one really picks her up in there. Everyone's dropping to the box, looking to pick up their runners. The central midfielders obviously have picked up in there. That's why Van Egmond doesn't quite get to the ball. But lurking on the edge, Kennedy's in the prime position to win this back. And we've seen this quite a lot with all of her goals, really. They're all coming on the edge of the box. They're all coming from her, lurking in that kind of role. And we're seeing her become this goal-scoring midfielder. Because she's often in between the lines of play. Because you're looking at that midfield too, and especially against the two of North Korea today, they're going player for player in there. So as Australia come forwards, they understand those marking assignments. So when you then see Kennedy pushing up, she's often then behind that line of play, but it means that when the ball spills out, she's able to recycle it. Often you'd see this kind of role be a lot deeper in the field, but with how high Australia have been, she's picking up the ball on the edge of the box. This is giving her the opportunities to get shots away, and actually we're seeing some really nice attacking play, goal-scoring play, where she's getting the ball out of her feet and letting that shot off. She's opening up the body and getting that angle to shoot. So really good stuff, really good stuff from Lana Kennedy. Again, I think that has been something that has worked for Australia this time. A few things haven't, but Kennedy's role, coming into that defensive midfield role, where we saw them be so stodgy in midfield in that first game, I think has been quite important. But yeah, Chelman says, another game show you how physicality and size of players doesn't really work in football. They definitely can work. I mean, we saw China in the Asian Cup in 2022, mainly based on their physical style of play. They were aggressive, they were physical, and then they looked to be quite direct and transitional and pick out Wang Shuang in attacking areas. Again, it's all about having that balance. You can't have a side full of technically gifted players that are too weak because they'll get bullied off the ball. You can't have a side full of physical players that aren't technical enough because they won't be able to create good chances. And I think that's perhaps where we're seeing North Korea let down a little bit, is that they don't quite have those combinations. Obviously, elite teams now aspire to have players who can do both, players who are as physical as they are technical, players who are able to be, highly athletic, but also obviously very technically gifted. You want to have those hybrid players. I think Australia has more of those kind of players. I think Sam Kerr is a fantastic example of someone who, is fantastic at using her physicality, and her ability to hold the ball is excellent, but it takes nothing away from that technical element, where she's so good at being able to link up play, where her movement's really strong, her game understanding's really good, and obviously her technique with shots is really strong as well. Ilmatic says, Australia plays turgid and low-quality football. I think the way Australia are trying to play is, it's not attractive. I completely agree with that, but it is, they're ahead in this game, and that has to, something has to be said for that. They are setting up very defensively, and it could get them the result. That's ultimately what they want. Chelman says, Australian midfield is not functioning. Haywise saying, Australian midfield is empty. They need some new blood in there. Against the top team, they will be beaten. I do agree there are problems with Australia's midfield in general. I think they looked a lot better with Amy Sayer in there, being that creative outlet. I think for me, there's no one that really links either the attack to midfield or the defence to midfield. So trying to use Kennedy in that role, but what that ultimately means is that she often functions as just a defender, and then pushes in to sort of be that base of midfield, but isn't really involved in ball progression. And then you've got Gorey, who's a really good progressor, but they're not really getting her on the ball. So not really seeing her hold possession. And then of course you've got Emily Van Egmond. I think Van Egmond's a good utility player, but ultimately again doesn't function much to ball progression, doesn't offer much in terms of final third creativity. And so for me, that final third creativity, obviously you've got Fowler, you've got Carpenter, those two haven't really got in the game yet. I think they've both struggled a bit to actually hold on to possession. Again, though, it's being forced wide quite a lot. I think Australia would like to play inside. They're not doing that, though. They're trying to force the press and play wide. It's just not really working. But again, they don't really have a defensive midfielder capable of being that ball progressor. So, yeah. Locus says, Australia's never had world-class defenders. Their only real issue has been the back line. I think the centre-half partnership has been better today. I think what they've done very effectively, and again, they've gone player for player. Where they struggled a lot against South Korea was where Korea were able to. So they had I can't remember now if Korea had a front two. They did have a front two, didn't they, Korea? I want to say they did. But I believe Korea had a front two. And what they were doing quite effectively was one player was dropping off, and the other was then pushing and splitting the centre halves. And that then gives the centre halves a decision, because what we saw a lot of them doing was either they drop off and then South Korea were able to find those balls in behind and open up the space, or someone pushes up. And that then pushes, that can put pressure on the midfield, but it also just opens up a lot more space to knock that ball in behind. That's what we saw a lot of, I think, against South Korea, was that their centre-back partnership didn't quite have the understanding of when to jump, when to cover, and ultimately against that front two, who are quite dynamic, they really struggled. North Korea's front two is a lot more static. They're two more out-and-out forwards, I would class them. And we're not seeing much fluidity between the two of them. They're very much, this is the right striker, this is the left striker. They're going to pull into the channel, and the other ones will go central, and then vice versa. And that's not too difficult for Australia to deal with. And also the fact their fullbacks have been quite deep in this game, also accommodating for that fact, and they can go player for player. North Korea aren't really creating any options in the pockets. Their wingers hold the width well, that's great, but Australia are able just to go player for player out wide. If their fullbacks push up, Australia's wingers are dropping deep quite well. And midfield, they're actually outnumbering them at the moment, with having the midfield three against the midfield two of North Korea. So they're not really finding that advantage. Obviously, Australia's trade-off then is that they don't offer much transitional threat because they are quite deep. So it's just Kerr up against two defenders. But they are doing well at the moment to limit North Korea being able to actually play forwards and actually create anything at the moment. So good defensive work is what I'd say from Australia, but that is at the detriment really to their attacking play. And I think that's where that frustration is coming from. And I understand it. Australia are one of the top sides in this competition. You'd want them to play attractive football, and they've got some fantastic players. But it is, the way they are playing may get them a result at this. I do think North Korea are going to get a goal, and that will be interesting then to see what changes. But I think at the moment, Australia are getting the result, so it's not been too ineffective. It's just not pretty to watch. And I think there are definitely parts of this team that aren't quite functional, but they are in the lead. They got that early goal. The tactic worked as far as that, and the tactics worked as far as limiting North Korea, which I think is ultimately what they were trying to do with how they're setting up today. Australia get us back underway then in this second half, and it's Sam Kerr from the middle, waiting for the referee's whistle. And now waiting. Still does blow a whistle and get back underway in this second 45. Australia taking on North Korea, leading by a goal to nil here in Perth. Can Australia see out the victory and get themselves into the semi-finals and qualify automatically for the 2027 Women's World Cup? Or will North Korea turn this game around? They're coming forwards with intent early on here. Kim Kyung-yong there pulling wide. And a good header in midfield from Emily Van Egmond as Hunt now picks up on the loose ball. Arnold launching that to the left-hand side. Again, we're not really seeing Australia do much with possession in this game. Trying to be a bit more direct, trying to be long. That just straight out of play. Throw in now on the far side. Australia looking to go down the line. Hold up from Kerr. Back down the line looking for Ford. One back well in there by Myung-gun. And now they'll build out from the back. Cook Yang. Across the back line. Song Chun Sim. Picked off well in there by Ford. Van Egmond puts pressure on the ball. Myung-gun. Back now to Hyun. A poor pass now picked off by Kerr in this high position. Can she score? Sam Kerr rattles it home, and Australia double their advantage. Brilliant pressure there as North Korea build out from the back. And a big blunder from Kim Song-kyung is picked off brilliantly by Kerr, who does the rest. Fantastic from Kerr to pick off possession and power it home. Australia doubling their advantage. It's Australia 2, North Korea 0. And that's exactly why Australia are setting up in the way that they are. They don't want to make mistakes playing out from the back, and they're not overcomplicating it. Kim Song-kyung under pressure from Gorey, great pressure from Gorey, gives the possession to Kerr. Kerr rounds the centre half well, fires home at the near post. And Australia lead by 2-0 in this game. Fantastic high press from Australia. Winning the ball back in the final third. And Sam Kerr wasn't going to miss that opportunity. Fantastic from Kerr, who jumps up on the sideboard in front of the adoring home support. And the hosts double their advantage. Australia 2, North Korea 0. And that's why they're setting up this way, Australia. That's why they're being more defensive. Their pressing structure there, being narrow, being compact, allowing them to put pressure on the pitch, win it back in that kind of position and find the goal. And now they've got that cushion they wanted. And it gives them something to defend. Kerr's third goal at this tournament. Still 2 behind Alana Kennedy, but definitely in the conversation for the Golden Boot if she can keep this form up. That's 3 goals now in 4 matches. Again, we'd be talking about that as a really strong record if it wasn't for the fact that Kennedy's got 5. Carpenter plays it inside. Kennedy carrying it forwards. Now Gorey. Here's Torpy. Knocks it wide. Ford. Torpy won't get there. One back high, and here come North Korea out to the right-hand side. Strong challenge from Caitlin Ford, who does really well there to win back possession. Ford carrying it forwards inside now, looking for Torpy, picked off in midfield by the recovering Hinjong. Paul there from Song OK, just losing possession. Now Fowler out wide to Carpenter. Lovely finish though from Sam Kerr, showing once again that world-class ability, that goal scorer's instinct. Took it past Cook Yang well and just smashed it home at the near post. Carpenter into Fowler. Fowler carries forward, lovely footwork from the winger now, Gorey. Wide to Fowler. Trying to play, it runs through to Torpy, knocks it wide for Ford. Ford forced backwards, Torpy wide again. Gorey, Ford, Torpy. And that a wild attempt towards goal from Torpy out for a goal kick for North Korea. A double change forthcoming as well. So that is going to be midfielder Kim Song-kyung and forwards Han Jin-hong, replaced by Hak and Il-sung. So change in the front line and change in midfield. It's going to be Cho Il-sung into midfield and Rehak into the front line. Pass back now with Ha-gyong. Or the other way around, sorry. It'll be Il-sung in the front line. Hak in midfield. Ball slipped in behind. And a chance now. Song OK tries to go around Carpenter. Brilliant defending. Bit dealt with haphazardly there between Torpy and Kennedy, but Carpenter hooking it out of play. Nice move there in the central area. Penetrating well, but it was a really good piece of defending from Ellie Carpenter that recovered possession. Hong Song OK carries inside, dribbling her way through. Van Egmond picking it off. And Song Chun Sim unable there to keep that within the white lines. Throwing on this near side. Australia now moving across the back line. Hunt. Poor pass out, picked off high up the pitch. Shot now from range, just wide of the mark from Myong Yu Yong. Not quite able there to find the target with that effort. Not a bad shot at all though. There's a reason before this game she was the top scorer at this tournament, 4 goals in the group stage, I think all of which came against Bangladesh and Uzbekistan though. Jeremy says you can never write off Sam Kerr. Absolutely not. Still conversations about whether she'll renew her contract at Chelsea going into next season. If she can perform like that in the WSL, I don't think those questions will be very long. Those discussions will be very long. Torpy down the line. Ford, great hold up. Looking to switch the play here. Kerr, brilliant hold up play. Now slipping it through. Looking there for Van Egmond. Gorey puts pressure on the ball. Wrong decision really from Kerr. I think should have looked to the right hand side. It was difficult there. Would have had to roll the defender. But we know Sam Kerr's more than capable of doing so. Ball out towards the left hand side. And well, that asking a lot of Hong Song, okay? Quite the ambitious pass from Kim Kyung Yong. Carpenter looks down the line. Great hold up from Kerr. Knocked out of play again. Clinical though. Australia in front of goal. 3 shots in this game, 2 on target, but they lead by 2-0. Korea yet to have a shot in this second half in the first 10 minutes of it. Matt Black says Katrina Gorey needs to retire after this. I mean, that's going to be the interesting narrative for the Australian national team, is how many of these players retire. But I think they will. I think they'll play the 2027 Women's World Cup, because then that goes into the next cycle and you've got time to rebuild and rejuvenate the squad. But once we're getting round to the 2030 Asian Cup and the 2031 World Cup, I reckon we're probably looking at Kerr retired, Gorey, Ford, Catley, Kennedy. You know, it's going to be a very different looking Australia team. I think Carter and Fowler will be the only ones left. But no, they've got a lot of players coming through, a lot of players who warrant those opportunities. I think the World Cup team will probably be very similar to this squad. But I think when we get back round to the Asian Cup in 2030, I think that will be a very young Australia team. But they'll have then that cycle, that international cycle through 2028, 2029 to bleed in those younger players. Whereas I don't think we're going to see too many retirees before next summer. I think they'll want to go out on a World Cup. I mean, ultimately, the best World Cup was that Australia are going to have, you think, was the last one. Semi-finalists on home turf. You're probably not going to get better than that. But they want to give them, they want to have that opportunity at Brazil to give Australia the best chance of getting something. I think they'll try and keep as many of those players as possible. Pass back now to Kerr. Good hold up. Knocks it back to Torpy. Van Egmond tries to find Ford. Picked off again by Van Egmond. Ford. Kerr carries forward. That's a foul in there. Rehack there. The substitute is too aggressive on Sam Kerr. And yeah, Kerr just brought down. Inkesh says, I don't know if Catley will retire for those ones, or is she around them? I want to say Catley's already 30, right? Can I have a look? Yeah, 32. So obviously next World Cup should be 33, but by the time we're looking at the Asian Cup in 2030 and the Women's World Cup in 2031, she's looking at 36, 37, which by that point you tend to retire from international football. But yeah. Van Egmond lifting it into the area, and that dealt with well, to be fair, by Yu Song-gun. Punched away with some ferocity. Poses new level of energy to the Matildas. Do you mean over the next few years or in the second half? Because in the second half, I agree. And over the next few years, I agree. But yeah. Praveen says, hot take, no team from Asia will proceed to the same finals of the World Cup. I think that's too hot a take. I think it'll be wrong. But I don't think it's that hot a take. It depends how the draw goes. Japan get a tough group and a tough run, then yeah, maybe they'll get knocked out earlier. But if Japan have a group which they have no issues getting through, then I see no reason why they wouldn't be in the semi-finals. Again, it all comes down to what the groups look like. I think it's going to be a fascinating tournament next summer. Coming forwards now, Yong Yu Yong knocks it out to the right-hand side. Cheon Yong puts it into the box. Scory heads it away. Forward, Van Egmond. And Hunt lashing it clear. Because we've spoken a lot about how competitive this competition is, the Women's Asian Cup, but I think based on what the teams we're looking at now, or at least where teams are at now, we'd be looking at Japan being able to win it, Spain, England. France have always got the quality to win a World Cup. Whether or not they will or not is a different matter, but France have got to be in that conversation. Brazil, on home turf, are definitely building something. We saw that at the Olympics. The US WNT, of course, under Emma Hayes, will be favourites, I imagine. But that's 6 teams already. Chance now for North Korea. That's blocked away well. Shot through bodies, cleared away by Hunt. And that's without considering some of the powerhouses of Africa, your likes of Nigeria, Morocco. That's without considering the likes of Australia and some of those other big Asian nations that could compete. China, for example. Without considering some of the other European nations. Germany definitely shouldn't be counted out with the quality they've got. Netherlands, similarly, could be in that conversation. So many teams. I think that's what will be really fun. I think the Men's World Cup being 48 teams this summer, I think it's going to be oversaturated. I think 32 teams in the Women's World Cup, though, is the perfect sweet spot. It's a shame we're going up to 48 in 2031 because I don't think we'll have the quality step up in that short amount of time to handle those. But we'll see. Pass back inside now, picked off in there by Kennedy. Heatley. Pass out to the left-hand side with Hunt, who's dispossessed high up the pitch, commits the foul, and that's surely going to be a yellow card for that one. Hunt losing possession and results to a blatant foul to get away with it. She just runs off. I don't think she has been booked there. But yeah, so one back in there by Eun-Young. And she just pulls her down afterwards. Chance now for North Korea. Jack Rich says, Japan with 12 on the pitch will win the World Cup UFC. No chance that it would be with 12 on the pitch. I think if there's any team that FIFA wants to win the World Cup, it's not Japan. Ball in the air. Dropping now for Song Chun Sim, and that's picked off well by Arnold. But no, with the US and with the way the US have been so involved with FIFA, with the way that Brazil obviously want to win on home turf, that if there's going to be accusations of corruption at FIFA, which there are already so many with their involvement in the Middle East, but if there's going to be accusations, they're not going to be at Japan. Kane says, so far, Kerr has delivered given what we said earlier in the stream. Absolutely. We said she's the world-class player. She steps up and performs. That will make the difference. Instrumental in the first, decisive in the second. Brilliant stuff from Sam Kerr. North Korea coming forward down the right-hand side. Ball lifted in there, brought down well by Kim Kyung-yong. Good save from Mackenzie Arnold. As we tick over the hour mark, North Korea still yet to really trouble Arnold. 10 shots in this game. Yet to put a shot on target in the second half, though. that there first. Good start from Arnold. But yeah, I think there will be a sort of frustration, really. I mean, that manager on the sideline looks a little worried for his job. North Korea wanted to come into this tournament, wanted to be one of the sides competing at the sharp end. Little unlucky that finishing second in their group draws them against Australia. If it was a game against their rival South Korea, I think that could have been a much more favourable tie. Australia have stepped up massively here. Everyone's surprised that's not a yellow. Yeah, I'm not sure how Hunt didn't get booked. That was quite blatant foul. I think it's. I mean, obviously people will go, "Oh, it's Australia, home turf." I think the officiating standard of this tournament's been so low. Apologies to the officials, but it's just not been good enough. There's been so many times where there's a delay and an indecision about the calls. I think the referee today hasn't done too badly. She's let the game run quite well. But that probably should have been a yellow card. But particularly with assistant referees in this competition, just like there's been delays to decisions. There's been a lot of indecision where it goes out of play for a throw and there's not really a call made either way and the referee has to make that decision. Not particularly helpful. Lloyd says, Korea, as the cliche goes, architects of their own demise. Yeah, I mean, the first one was a speculative ball from Australia, which Cook Yang made a meal of, and then they couldn't really recover, and Alana Kennedy lashed it home. Second goal, absolutely. Trying to play out from the back. I think that's what Australia wanted to try and avoid today. It's why they've been a lot more direct. It's not been pretty, but it has been more effective dealing, at least defensively, with North Korea. They've not offered too much attacking threat, but they have scored 2 goals. So I think I'll be quite happy with what they've been able to achieve. But yeah, not a vintage performance from Australia by any stretch. But if it puts them in the same finals, qualifies for the World Cup, I don't think they'll really mind. Song okay. Back now with Myung Yu Yong. Song Chu Sim. Now to the edge of the box. Can they get a shot away? Could they score a goal? Chance now, ball cut back, and North Korea have got one back in this game. Lovely play on the left-hand side. Kim Kyung-yong made the run, cuts it back. I think it was Il-son in there. I couldn't see in the crowd of bodies quite who got the final touch. But that an important goal in the context of this match. North Korea have a goal in this match, and they pull it back just a 1-goal advantage. Kim Kyung-yong is onside. It's the right winger, of Chae Eun-yong, who gets back in there and fires it home, or just touches it home, really. With that penetrating run, they will check this goal now through VAR. Lovely move, lovely combination on the left-hand side. And suddenly, Australia's strong lead and cushion in this game is gone. North Korea pull within 1. Inke says now it should be interesting. Absolutely. Check complete. Goal will stand. And now North Korea have got something to compete for in this game. 25 minutes to play. You think Australia have got to make changes soon. This game's just become a lot more open all of a sudden. Back now with Chun Sim looking to hit it down the line. Chased down by Song Gay. Strong challenge from Hunt. Cleared away by Heatley. Picked off well in the back line by Kuk Yang. Ball clipped forwards. Carpenter heads it away. Getting a head swip in there. Myung Yu Yong. Unable, though, to head that in the right direction as it's out for a throw-in on this near side. Australia looking to go down the line. Carpenter, in fact, goes backwards, though. Heatley continues to be quite conservative and risk-averse in this game, Australia, which makes sense. But I do fear if North Korea score again, the pendulum swings massively in their favour to then go on and get the winner. just because Australia are going to have to switch, presumably, from this very defensive style to a suddenly very aggressive attacking style. Heatley, Carpenter, change coming. That's Claire Wheeler. Ready as the substitute. Fowler, Van Egmond lets it run. Probably shouldn't have. Myongum finds the forward pass out to the right-hand side. Cheon-Young puts into the box. That's blocked up in the air and out now for another corner. What can North Korea do here? Great work there from the substitute. Cho Il-sun just making life difficult for the Australia backline. And it will be the other substitution, Rehack, to take. Rehack now. Will they go short again? Looks like they'll just deliver this one into the box. Laying it flat towards the back post, and that's headed away well. Will drop now for Chun Sim. Shots blocked away by Kerr out to the left-hand side. Kim Kyung-young. Can she find a cutback? Lifted into the box. Headed around. Jumping in there is Cheon-young. Can't quite divert it goalwards. Song OK. Pokes it down the line. Delivery now from the corner. Take it back in, and that's just wide. Myong-Yu-young in there, just knocking it wide. And there is a check here for a possible penalty. So Cheon-young gets her head in there. And it's whether or not there's any contact with her. Looking back at this opportunity, wow. Just wide. It's cut back into the box. And they'd thought they'd scored on the bench. But Myong-Yu-young just knocking it wide. No penalty awarded is the decision from the VAR. And a change coming now for Australia. Van Egmond substituted, as is Mary Fowler. It's going to be Amy Sayer, and it's going to be Claire Wheeler onto the field. So a double change then for Australia. Fresh legs in midfield and out on this right wing. Matt Black says, how are North Korea so good? It's not like the players are playing in major leagues overseas. In fact, it looks like none of them play outside of North Korea. No, they don't. There's a great video on the HITC7's YouTube channel looking at why they're so good. But basically, they just invested a lot into youth development. Shot now from range. It's blocked away. Can they quite fashion the goal? Il-sun. Now to Hong Song OK. Cutting inside. Rehack. Just opening the body up too much there. Looping it wide of the mark. But yeah, North Korea put so much into their youth team. And the men's team would probably also be very strong if they didn't have mandatory military service, which I believe they still have. I mean, I don't imagine it's changed, but I believe that's a thing in North Korea. And that's why we don't tend to see. I mean, North Koreans. There was one North Korean professional footballer in the men's game once who went and played for. He was incredible. He played for Inter Milan, and or at least he was incredible prospect. Played for Inter Milan, and it was very difficult because they don't like have North Koreans aren't really allowed to leave the country, so he ended up just having to play in North Korea. I think North Korea were banned from living in Italy or something like that. So he couldn't keep playing there. So he ended up playing in various countries in Asia who did allow it to happen. But yeah, ball flipped around the corner, one back in there by Wheeler. Kennedy. In cases, I think they have mandatory conscriptions. That's why they do football too, along with guns, I guess. Yes, yeah, they must do. But that's why we've never really seen the men's teams compete, and also obviously travel restrictions and the logistics of players people who are never allowed to leave the country, leaving the country to play in major tournaments. Does make it difficult. Ball out to the right-hand side. Cheon-young knocks it down the line. Here's Cho Il-sun. Kim Song-yeon. Shot now from range, just over the bar there from Rehack. Helen Castrato wins here, also qualifies for the World Cup. Yes, the final four in the Women's Asian Cup get automatic qualification for the Women's World Cup in 2027. There are then playoffs between the losers in this round, and the winners of those playoffs go and play in the inter-confederational playoffs, where they'll face some other sides from Europe, from Africa, from South America, North America, the likes, who are all trying to qualify in those extra positions for the World Cup. But yeah, AFC have 4 automatic spots. That goes up to 6 for the 2031 edition. Loretta asks, where to watch live from the Philippines? The one in the Asian Cup YouTube is not working. In case you can't watch it live if you're from Asia. Yeah, it'll be on there'll be specific broadcasters. If you can't find a way to watch it though, feel free to join us here. Oh, it's been a very enjoyable game. 18 minutes to play. Ilson holds it up well. One back in there by Wheeler. Hunt out towards the left-hand side. Kerr holding the ball up well. Now Kennedy. Ford does well. Trying to take on Cook Yang. But ends up running out of play. North Korea throwing to follow. Australia's got to see this game out, really. It's become nervy because they conceded. They've just got to try and kill this game off. Ilson flicks around the corner. Cheon-Young brought down in there by Torpy. But not giving us a free kick, instead of a throw-in for Australia. As time ticks away. Torpy throws back now into Hunt. Arnold. Heatley looking wide. Here's Carpenter. Out the body, knocked out of play. But yeah, so a quarter of an hour left in this one. If you aren't new to the channel as well and you are enjoying today's stream, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. We are trying to hit 10,000 subscribers before the end of the domestic season. That's just 2 months away now, or a little over 2 months away. So keep hitting that subscribe button. Keep supporting us. Thank you so much, everyone, that has joined us for this stream. So we've got 15 minutes at least in this game. North Korea can find an equaliser. We may be going beyond the 90. Back now with Carpenter. And of course, if you haven't yet liked the stream, make sure to do that. So we're on 48 at the moment. Can we get up to 50? Make sure to leave a like if you haven't already. Australia now with this goal kick. And North Korea starting to feel the pressure. They've put some pressure on Australia with that goal. They haven't really, though, kicked on since that strike 10 minutes ago. They've been the better side, really, North Korea. More of the possession. 16 shots to 3 in favour of North Korea. But it's the host Australia who lead at the moment. The Matildas have ridden their luck at times in this game. They've been effective and clinical in front of goal. Can they continue to stave off the threat of the North Korea side? Myongam inside now. A lovely give and go with Rehack. Running down the line. Hard work there from Myongam. Out of play. Throwing on the far side. And a yellow card here for Torpy. I think a free kick, actually. Or it may. No, it's going to be a corner. It may just be for... Let's have a look. Yeah, just pulled back there. It's going to be a foul. Free kick in, almost the corner flag. A yellow card from Torpy. She just grabbed Myongam. Ball delivered towards the back post. It's going to drop now at the far post for the left back, Chunsim. Delivery is cleared away well by Torpy. Kukyang. Back to Chunsim down the line. Lovely give and go with Kim Kyung-yeol. Inside now with Hyung-gum. Knocked out to the right wing, lifted into the box, nodded on. Kim Kyung-young tries to take aim. It's blocked and a corner now for North Korea. What can they make happen? Well, it's again Hong Song-ok over this. Who can she pick out? Again, the referee here will just delay the taking of this corner so she can have a discussion with some players in the box. And they've changed taker in the process as well. Re-hack over this has the short option. Australia growing wise and pushing players to mark it. Ball in towards the back post. Headed directly up in the air, but it's left the field of play before that. And a goal kick for Australia. North Korea are unable to sustain the pressure. It's 12 minutes left in this contest. Is there going to be another goal in this game, or Australia going to see it out and get themselves into the semi-finals, qualify automatically for the Women's World Cup in 2027? Or will North Korea turn this game around? Ford lifts it over the top. Kerr trying to create the angle for the shot. Holds the ball up well. Wheeler into the area. Sayer can't quite get there, and that would have kept it off. If they could have scored there, that would have been, well, you'd think the winning goal, really. Great movement from Kerr here. Does so well off the ball. Holds the ball up under pressure. Lovely flick and hold back. Brings Ford into it, but her delivery unable to be touched on by Amy Sayer, who darted in there into the 6-yard box. North Korea coming down the left-hand side now. Sayer poking it out of play. Chun Sim looks down the line. Kim Kyung-young dropping deep to receive. Lovely footwork. Tries to play it inside. It's picked off. Drops now for Song-ok. Re-hack. Shot now from range. Blocked. Good pressure here from Myung-gung. On the ball. Wins it off of Ford. That's cleared away by Wheeler, who pounces on that poor pass. Back now to Kuk-yang. Chun Sim back to Kuk-yang. Ball forwards. Carpenter nods it out of play. Throw in on the near side now. Song-ok. Chun Sim knocks it inside. Ball round the corner well. Held up here up front by Il-son. Delivered flat, and that's going to be an easy claim there from Arnold. Australia just trying to slow this game down. North Korea, well, they need to start being a bit more urgent. They've tried to force the ball a little bit more. And they go long again. Arnold on hand to knock it out of play to the far side. But North Korea can hit the ball high up the pitch here with this possession. Throw in now on the right hand side. Hyung-gum holds it up well. Re-hack. Kuk-yang. Now Hae-gyong. Ball down the line. Lifting it over the top now, looking for the run of Chun Sim. Good work from Carpenter. Around the corner well and cleared away. Songchun Sim. And now let's deliver that into the box. It will be a corner now to follow. It's taken short and taken quickly. Rehack lifting it forwards. Wheeler, though, gets there. Rehack again. Cook Yang will take aim from range. What an effort there from the centre half. Arnold gets across to it well, though. Thunderous strike from some distance there from Cook Yang. And the full stretch denial from Mackenzie Arnold. Corner for North Korea. Rehack the player over this. Have the short options. Surely, so just got to go into the box though. Ball into the area, nodded away. Torpy competing aggressively here with Chae Young. And now one high up the pitch. Here's an opportunity. Chae Young puts it in there. Cleared away by Wheeler, who looks to carry towards the right-hand side. One back here. Well, Gory battles for possession. One back by Song OK, the left winger. Switch to the play from Rehack. And Hunt heads it in. Heads it away as it's crossed in. And smashed clear by Heatley. A messy exchange there, but ultimately Australia deal with it. A foul there committed in midfield. Wheeler went up for the ball. Loses out by Myung Yu Yong. And the yellow card as well for the midfielder. It's quite dismissive, and that's quite the cut there to the face of Claire Wheeler. That's got to be of some concern. She will need treatment as there's blood running down her face. Let's have a look at that one again then. Just goes in strong there, and it's the elbow that just catches Wheeler in the face. A fairly innocuous one. She just looks to get above her, and Wheeler doesn't jump that much, then jumps up into Myung Yu Yong. And obviously that elbow then coming down, catching her on the eye. A yellow card for Myung Yu Yong. It's one of those where the referee's officiating based on the consequence of the foul rather than the actual mechanism of foul. Not much intent there. Well, no intent from Myung Yu Yong, but does catch her in the face, and it's a nasty one here for Wheeler, who will have some treatment. It's going to be quite difficult here to treat this without impairing her vision in some way, given the proximity of the injury to the eye. They're going to try their best, though. Medical staff. Meanwhile, Australia are looking at more changes, I believe. Another look at that shot from Cook Yang that needed a great stop from Mackenzie Arnold. Got across to it well. And now, hopefully we're able to get back underway. Loiter's not a foul. Yes, it's one of those unfortunate ones, and Wheeler will play on with quite the headband there to keep the bandage in place. Right next to her eye. She will have to go off for treatment for a moment, which the referee explaining to Wheeler there. Wheeler quite frustrated, but obviously has received treatment, albeit the consequence of a foul, so we'll go off for a moment. I think there was a little bit more blood as well. They just had to clear from my face. So, for the moment, Australia down to 10. Headed out of play there by Myung Gum. Don't think Australia did end up making those changes. And Wheeler back into the fray. Torpy. Good on down the line. Good work here from Kerr, holding the ball up. Needs some support now. Puts it into the box. It takes a touch, or at least it looks like it's taking a touch there. It really should be a corner. I think he's going to give us a goal kick. Much frustration there of Kerr. Ball forwards. Great hold up in there from Il-Son. A pass inside now. Looking for Kim Kyung-yong. Can't quite find a teammate. Cleared out of play. North Korea throwing now on this near side. Ball switching the play. One back in midfield. It's now wide with Myongam. On the edge of the box. North Korea trying to penetrate. Rehak just not able to find that forward pass. Here's Kerr. Hold up is good. Carrying it forwards now. Trying to get around Kook-yang. Kerr. Wheeler. Hold up from Van Egmonds. Tries to find the pass backwards. That's out for an Australia throw-in. Or a North Korea throw-in. And some vocal support there from the Matilda fans behind this throw being taken. Myongam will be delayed in her attempts to take this throw as there are changes coming, and it's Australia trying to slow this game down. It's Kyra Cooney-Cross and Charlize Rule onto the field. And making way, it's Katrina Gorey and Alana Kennedy. So we'll see Rule into that defensive midfield, tight position, or potentially even into a flat five. And Gorey out of the midfield to be replaced by Kyra Cooney-Cross. That's that more creative outlook, and Gorey here doing her best to slow it down without getting a yellow card. Leaning into the mischievous. And Alana Kennedy making way as well for Charlize Rule. Another great performance there as she gets her 5th goal of the tournament, and that could be decisive. That early goal as it stands, 2-1, is the scoreline. Can North Korea find a late leveller? Can Australia see it out and book their place in the Asian Cup semi-finals on home turf? Ball out of play. Myongam. Good hold up in there from Chaeyeon-young. Back now with Rehak. Wide again, and it's picked off, and here's Kerr, and they'll try and slow this down and take it to the corner, or maybe not, as Kerr launches. We have got 8 additional minutes in this game. That is a lot of time for North Korea to find a leveller. Can Australia hold on? Or can North Korea find a lifeline late on in this game? Myung Yu-young back now with Kook-yang. One back by Gorey, really good work in there. The forward pass from Song Chun Sim. Not quite coming off. Sayer competing. And well, clipped forwards there by Kook-yang. Coming to the right-hand side now. Chaeyeon-young. Rehak lifts it over the top. Not quite able to get there though. Myung Yu-young. Good goalkeeping from McKenzie. Engaged says, I don't think the Wheeler stoppage was that much. Yeah, I don't think it was 8 minutes. They have had VAR checks though for a penalty, and they VAR checked both goals, but I don't think that adds up to 8 minutes. A couple of substitutions, of course, as well. It's not been loads of stoppages, nothing too egregious. No, 4 or 5 minutes, fair enough. 8 minutes does seem quite excessive there. Ball down the right hand side. Myung-gum dispossessed in there though. Was Young. Coming forwards now. North Korea, nowhere to go there from Myung-Yu-Yong. Wide now overlapping. Here's Chae-Young. Blocked away. Still competing. Myung-gum into Young. Ball through the central area. One back well in there by Kerr, who lashes it away. Doing that more defensive role. And Cooney Cross giving chase. Not able to win that in the air as Cook Yang gets up there. Going to goal from range here. A comfortable claim though for Arnold, who had to shuffle back with urgency. But no issues preventing that from being a blunder. And she will now slow this game down as much as she possibly can. Kim Kyung-young there tried to put pressure on her. Ended up nudging into her, and the referee just giving her a cautionary word. Kim Kyung-young there. I mean, it's not that bad. The way the Arnold's gone down here. Fascinating. Change now for Australia. That's Sam Kerr departing. They must be confident they'll see this out then to take Sam Kerr off. And Heyman on in that striker position then. Arnold with this goal kick. That's killed another 30 seconds. 4 minutes to play. Headed on by Sayer. Watchalong had a one in there by Heatley. Gorey. Now lifted forwards from Myung-gum. Great work from Kim Kyung-young. Goes down in the box. There's some appeals in there, albeit they feel rather unjustified. And are understandably unsuccessful. Free kick here for North Korea though. And the VAR are going to check this as a possible penalty. Let's have another look at this. We'll look first there at Gorey. Just going strong on Sung Chin Sim. Quite like to see the penalty shout as well. Decision is fairly quick though, no penalty. I don't think there was anything in that on Kim Kyung-young. Trying to buy that. And it wasn't successful. Referee sharp shot on that occasion. Free kick now then for North Korea. Could this be the moment? Ball delivered towards the back post, headed goalwards, straight into the gloves of Mackenzie Arnold once again, who clutched it to her chest gracefully. And hits the deck. Referee timing down Arnold here. Ball launched forwards. No one quite able to get there in an Aussie shirt. Heyman flicking over her shoulder, one back in there by Myung-gum. Going down the left-hand side now is Wheeler. Strong work again in there from Myung-gum to win back possession. Hooking it out of play from Australia. Throwing 2 minutes to play. Just got to hit the corners at this stage, the Matildas. Slow this match down as much as possible. And yes, Matt Black, you are right. All 4 teams who reach the semi-finals of the Women's Asian Cup will be automatically qualified for the Women's World Cup in 2027. As it stands, that would be Australia if they can see out these last 2 minutes. And the 4 losers in these quarterfinals will go into the play-in games. The winners in those play-in games will be into the interconfederational playoff matches, where they'll have a chance to qualify for the last 2 spots. But yeah, only 4 spots available to the AFC as it stands, and 2 qualification spots. That will go up to 6 with 2 qualification spots for the next World Cup. Il-sung back inside. Lovely give and go midfield between Myung Yu Yong. Shot now from Kim Kyung Yong, just slips as she goes to take it. And it is Cooney Cross who comes away with the ball, carrying this forward, hoping to draw the foul more than anything else. Still coming forward, Cooney Cross loses out in there. Here come North Korea. Myung Yu Yong, Kim Kyung Yong, knocked down in there, and it's won back by Cooney Cross, who just hits it long. And out to it quickly, goalkeeper Yu Song feeding it out. Here's Myung Yu Yong, lifting out to the right-hand side. Che An-young, inside pass now. Towards Song Ok, back to An-young. In towards the back post, headed away by Heatley, kept alive by Il Son, who tries to go for goal and probably shouldn't have attempted that. That may well be their last chance. It was bouncing out for a corner. Gone for an utterly bizarre attempt, and it hasn't come off. And that may be their last opportunity, North Korea, to stun and upset the hosts. And again, it's with Arnold and barking orders here from the bench to slow it down. Australia to try and hit the corners. It's out wide here towards the Australia subs bench. And no one on that bench is going to be quick to recover it. Ball flicked over the top now. Carpenter's going to try and see it out under a bit of pressure here. Does brilliantly, Ellie Carpenter. And there it is, the final whistle in this quarter-final. Australia into the Asian Cup semis. As Lloyd says in the live chat, a signature, unconvincing, but good enough performance there for the Matildas. Clinical with their opportunities. Kerr and Kennedy finding the back of the net well. Outside of that, it wasn't vintage, but it was good enough. They set up defensively. They limited North Korea well. They survived a bit of a scare after North Korea got a goal back on 25 minutes. An-young with that goal. Outside of that, though, Australia victorious heading into the semi-finals now, and that confirms their qualification for the Women's World Cup in 2027. The North Korea players distraught, the Australia players elated, and a sea of yellow and green delight across the grandstands. Across the grandstands? They're not that grand. They're just stands, but what a game. And Australia into the semi-finals of their home tournament, exactly where they want to be. Where they'll face the winner of China or Chinese Taipei. That game tomorrow morning. Unfortunately, we won't be live as those two sides meet early in the day here in the UK, but we will be live for the game between Uzbekistan and South Korea on the other side of the draw. We'll be back for both semi-finals as well. Join us on Tuesday as Australia take on the winner of China versus Chinese Taipei. But an important victory. It wasn't vintage. The stats tell you everything you need to know. North Korea with 62% possession in that game. 21 shots to Australia's 4. 10 on target to Australia's 2. It wasn't a particularly good performance from Australia, but they did well defensively. They limited North Korea in moments, and they scored when they had their chances. 2 shots on target, 2 goals, ruthless clinicality from experienced Kerr and Kennedy. And yeah, important as Brady says, that is World Cup qualification. Mark says, typical backs to the walls victory, absolutely. Just about getting that one over the line. Well, thank you everyone that's joined me on this Friday morning here in the UK. As I say, we're back tomorrow morning as South Korea take on Uzbekistan. We're back for all the semi-finals and, of course, the final next week, as well as coming back with WSL action and the Women's League Cup final on Sunday. So lots to look out for over the next few days. In a minute, our latest video goes live. So I'm going to end the stream now, and you can all head on over there and watch that video. It's a League Cup final preview, so go and check that out. If that's not interesting to you, though, go and check something else on the video on the channel. There'll be something you can watch and enjoy. That, though, is everything. Thank you guys very much for watching, and we will see you next time.